Welcome to the Kackbrat Chronicles.
Jim Broadbent, welcome to the Broadbent Chronicles.
Lovely to be here.
There we go. Cheers. For anyone that's actually watching, this will be a bit of a different look to things because of the shitty internet that we've got. I can't do the episodes like I normally do them over the internet. So that's why I got you in on this one-on-one occasion. And also we've decided to do the Sober October thing. So
this is why I'm here. This is what it's all about. I need a challenge, and you've gratefully accepted it.
Yes. So just to put the rules out, so we're doing obviously no drinks for the month of October.
Which is the biggest thing ever. I don't know about you, Phil, but I drink like a fish every time I get home.
It is fun.
Yeah.
I think both of us sit in we do put in hours at work, and we've got, I won't say we work in a high stress environment, but
it's enough.
It's out there. And I also enjoy a drink when I get home. So I've always found myself enjoying Sober October, just as a little thing to show myself that I can actually
prove to yourself you can.
Yeah, that I'm in control. So we're doing Sober October, £250 gamble,
which is not an inconsiderable amount of money. It's enough to make you think about it.
Yeah, it's £250 is basically 5,000 South African rands,
which is what? Week's wage.
Well, it depends on which work you do. It's a lot of money. On a previous occasion I've won a 5,000 rand bet on Sober October, so I'm glad we went up there. So it's a lot of money. And then so we're gonna do no drinks for the month of October, and then we're gonna do 20 minutes of kettlebell exercises every day
with the 16 kg
kettlebell.
Yeah.
Just to bring a bit of a fitness thing into it.
Yeah.
And then is that it? Was that it? I can't remember.
Well, we were debating whether or not to give up the smoking, but I think we both decided that that's a little bit too much.
It is. Let's hang on to one thing.
I just need to add as a caveat to your listeners that I'm a horrendous weed smoker.
Horrendous.
As in every day since I was 14, apart from trips abroad. I gave up on the weed a couple of days ago. And the change in me is tangible, palpable. I think you can see I'm more talkative than I should be.
I've not really picked up any change. We do. I mean, we speak to each other quite a lot.
Yeah, almost daily.
Yeah. So I've not picked up on anything funny.
But
so you're quitting that as well for the month.
Yeah, 100%. I think. If I can take one thing away, it would be the break from the weed.
It's going to be interesting.
Damn right it is.
But so that's the basic rules. I mean, obviously no drinks, kettlebells, and then no smoke for you, except tobacco. I think let's do this. If anyone wants to join, send me a message. We'll set up a little WhatsApp group just to get everyone saying me and you at this point.
Yeah.
Just to put a bit of motivation out there and keep track of what's happening. And then if anyone wants to join, I'll just add them on the WhatsApp group. So if anyone wants to do Stop October with us, back and get involved.
Yeah, get involved, man.
Okay, so we've got that out the way. Obviously, we are drinking tonight because it is 8 o'clock on Friday evening, the 30th of September. So 12 o'clock tonight it starts, and then obviously ends on 12 o'clock the last day of October. I thought, since you're here, and we do tend to have some fun conversations while we have a drink, I want to ask you, seeing as the Queen has now died, she was Queen.
God bless you.
To the
Majesty.
Queen. What's the God save the King apparently now? What's the thing that you have to say?
Queen is dead, long live the king.
Okay, well there we go. I wanted to ask you something because there's one thing that I find very intriguing about this whole thing. Obviously, we don't have a king or a queen in South Africa. We just have a president. And it's interesting the way that you guys go about with like the funeral, which was fucking 2 weeks long, and all of this. We went, I think the week that the Queen died, we went through to York, and we wanted to go see because that's York has got the biggest minster in the UK.
Yeah,
and we wanted to go. We couldn't see it because it was closed down for mourning for the Queen, which I couldn't really understand. I was standing there thinking like, it doesn't make sense. But I think it's because I don't understand. They don't do anything, right? The royal family, they don't do anything in terms of. They don't have any parliamentary duties or.
Well, that's not strictly true. We're a constitutional monarchy.
Okay.
So we nearly had a revolution. We chopped the head off the king at one point, and then Cromwell came in, and everybody decided that actually it was a little bit better when we had the previous situation. Reinstated the monarchy. What Britain's never had is a full revolution. There was never the situation that happened in Russia or in France, where the king, the monarchy was abolished, and then there was a few years of turbulence to come up with an alternative situation. We've ended up with this constitutional monarchy where we said, right, it's pretty good when we have a king and a queen, but you can't make decisions on stuff, important stuff. That should come through Parliament. The Queen she's a rare example because she's been in power for so long.
Yeah.
Most of the population of the UK has only ever known her as our leader. And because she was so affable and played her role as a civil servant, it sort of throws the whole monarchy on its head, because monarchy is supposed to be top down. And the situation that we ended up in was where it's not. It's with parliamentary approval, but we have the continuity of the monarchy.
Mm.
I don't know if you have the same situation in South Africa, but we have enormous reverence for the upper classes. We think they're there for a reason. The class structure is pretty well set in stone.
See, that's a difficult question to answer about South Africa, because if you take the top 1% of South Africans, it depends on who gets the biggest tender. It can change on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah, not to get into our internal struggles of South African fucking Parliament and the ANC and all of that bullshit. But, yeah, I don't think we've got fully the same. We've got the president and the ruling party, which is the ANC.
Yeah.
But the rest is sort of flavour of the week type of thing in terms of who's in charge. And that can literally change in an instant.
Yeah. As it does in most European countries. But the Queen was different because she was the fixed point. I know it's been said 100 times in the media and stuff, but she was the one thing that everybody sort of, we do it for Queen and country.
Yeah.
Charles is now in, our new king.
But he's also like 175 years old, is he not?
Yeah. Well, she came in under exceptional circumstances that her dad was never meant to be king. His brother abdicated because he wanted to marry someone that was not allowed.
All right.
God bless him. No, for any other reasons.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But that role of being the civil servant for the country is quite a thing to shoulder.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. They get some benefits to it. They get to keep the palaces and the shooting grounds and the the dignitary
and the
rights.
copious amounts of money.
Yeah, there's a lot. But the estates have been managed well under their leadership. They're not totally incompetent. I mean, Charles, if you want to take him as an example, he's run the Duchy of Cornwall for the last 20, 30 years and built it into a sustainable business. He's not daft. I think he'd survive in the real world.
Yeah.
But that's not what we want from them. We want someone to be a figurehead, to be a civil servant, to be a...
But now, see, that's the thing. What is civil servant to them? What do they actually... I think that's probably... Sorry, I just want to move a bit because I'm going to get a cramp in my groin if I sit like this. What do they actually do? What's their role in society?
From my point of view, I reckon they represent us here and abroad. You know, everybody loves the pomp and circumstance. The whole reason that there was big viewership for the funeral was everybody's fascinated by this 1,000-year-old tradition that we have. And we are as well. We're more fascinated than anybody else with this.
See, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you there, but that's one of the things that I found so interesting is that people were willing to stand in line for 13, 14 hours just to see her, what do you call it, casket or whatever. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either, if I'm completely honest. But I suppose it's that touch with the past, that link with the history of our country. Now, Britain's gone through so many changes in the last 1,000 years. We were an empire. We ruled the world. I say we.
Yeah, you're part of it.
No.
It's the royal we.
No. I'll come on to this in a second. But UK have a navy that dominated the world for a long period of time. South Africa was born out of colonialism.
Yeah.
Dutch and English and Portuguese. We're all children of that. The fact that there's been one family in charge the whole time, from the Tudors to the Plantagenets to the Windsors that we're ended up with now, it seems to be the fixed point in a really changing world. Now, Second World War ended our imperialism. Winston Churchill seemed to realise that it's not sustainable anymore. And we are a diminishing country when it comes to that, but only because we fucking raided and pillaged and took over. But nobody's got out of that sort of mindset. Everybody wants to feel like we're a great country. We're a small island. Look at us on a map.
Yeah.
We don't deserve to be dominated. We're not the United States of America where we are, from shining sea to sea, where we can control the continent. We're a tiny little island at the end of Europe. And letting go of that is still a factor in UK politics now. We feel like we should be in charge. We feel like we should be the diplomacy in the sea of change. We're not, clearly. But that link with the past is fairly unique. I think Japan have the same link to the past. There's a clear culture that runs through. But, I mean, if you've been truthful about it all, the monarchy was European more than it ever was British. They all intermarried.
Yeah.
There were serious links to abroad, and it's maybe something that we clutch onto a little bit strongly because of that historic link. And we didn't do what French did, or the Spanish did, or the Portuguese did, where they threw it out the window. We've sort of kept onto it, but yet managed to modernise in the meantime. And I do think we have a strong democracy. Magna Carta came from, 800 years ago, which the Americans wave around like it was a big deal. I don't think it's seen as a big deal here so much, but that was the moment when everybody said, we can have a king, but the king doesn't make decisions. We make those decisions and we'll consult the king. I was listening to a podcast tonight about how Harold Wilson, I think he was the fourth Labour Prime Minister, apparently Queen's favourite, totally different background to the Queen, but their discussions between each other were mutually respective. He saw the Queen more than the once a week meetings that they're due to do.
Yeah. And
she respected him, he respected her, consulted her almost.
But the Prime Minister is basically the President of England.
It's a representative of the leading party. And the leading party makes all the decisions. If they've got a big majority, they can pass everything through. If it's narrow, there's always some rebels. And stuff gets, lost in the wayside and goes to the weeds. The weird thing that we have is this House of Lords. So the House of Commons, our Parliament, makes decisions. They pass it on to the House of Lords, which is full of bishops. Bishops? Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Unelected church officials and lords. And they sort of basically assume the role that the Queen does now. They can't realistically veto anything. They have no decisionary rights, but they are, well, in my mind at least, the check and the balance, because stuff can move too fast. England is slow to change, but yet sort of steady in its role. And I think that's something to do with the monarchy. Stuff can't move too fast. And in the same in every country where you've got this balance between conservative and liberal.
Yeah.
And the conservative side seems to be so strong in our country that maybe it holds us back a little bit too much. But we've thrived and succeeded in the interim. And everybody seems to think, well, yeah, it works. It works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it definitely works. I don't think there's a doubt about that.
But why it works is a little bit of reverence, a little bit of should we, shouldn't we, rather than, let's fucking scrap the whole thing and start again, revolutions always end with a turbulent period of years afterwards. And so far, we've not had to go through that. So God save the King.
God save the King. Cheers on that. So sort of keeping that topic, but also running way away from it. Seeing as we've got this whole Russia-Ukraine thing going on, which is quite interesting. And it's funny because it came in with a bang. It was news headlines everywhere. And me not reading a newspaper or watching the news or sort of taking in any type of information except over podcasts, it feels like it's quieted down a tremendous amount, the information traffic.
Yeah.
And I just had a thought this week of there is this looming thing of NATO versus Russia, NATO versus Putin, and I've been sort of playing with the idea of what will happen if Putin sort of throws his toys out the cot and decides
all guns are blazing.
Yeah, presses the big red button and fucks up the UK. What if you were to survive an atomic or a nuclear fucking attack on the UK? If you were to survive, you and your dog Yogi. So we'll get to Yogi in a second.
Thank God.
Do you think you'll be able to survive?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, even being serious, like, no. We don't have enough land and resources, and I'm not a dominant enough person, and we're not armed.
That's a big thing, because I told Alison, I think I'll be able to, if there was, let's say for argument's sake, there's 1,000 people left, 1,000 survivors in England, and we were 3 of the 1,000, or 2,000 or 5,000 or whatever. My first thought would be like get a rifle, get something to shoot something or someone.
Accumulate resources.
Yeah. I think everyone will scramble to remaining shops and stuff like that. And I think that'll be the biggest fight will be over food and unperishables and stuff like that. I think I'll just hang back and pick off people from a
Pick off the weakest members.
Pick off the weakest members. I'd go, because obviously farmers around here some of these farmers must have an odd shotgun or fucking 223 or something.
Yeah.
But I just go around houses and see what's to find and because I mean we've got more than enough roe deer and rabbits and shit around here. I'll be able to kill something and still be able to have a braai.
Yeah, but a braai wouldn't be an enjoyable occasion. It'd be a need for survival.
I don't think so. I think a braai's, no matter what, an enjoyable occasion.
If you're frying the skulls of your enemies, then yeah, it maybe comes with the bittersweet. But I think there's 65, maybe 70 million people on this tiny little island, and the thing that always baffles my mind is when we were born, the 80s. You were 80s as well, weren't
Yeah, at the end, 89.
89, so I was 83. When I was born, the population of the Earth was 5 billion. Currently, it's nearly 8. It's well possible within my lifetime that it'll be 10. When has there been a time in human history when the population has doubled in a single lifespan?
That's crazy.
It's fucking madness. I think we're living, that word is overused, but in unprecedented times. If what you're saying came true, I think, well, Thanos was maybe right. The weakest will survive. The weakest will perish, and the strongest will survive. Yeah. I mean, there's too many of us.
Apparently not.
I don't want that to sound like it's, there's too many people coming in, because we'll get onto this, but immigration has benefited this country massively throughout all of my lifetime and most of the time before. The reason that our business, Angus's business, has survived is because we've been able to get people to come in from other countries and work. They bring in skills, because most of the UK is so removed from farming. It's such a small proportion of our economy. Getting people in with skills is sort of always underestimated. We've never been able to feed ourselves entirely. Maybe when the First World War was on and they had big drives to, rationing and ploughing up land that probably shouldn't have been ploughed up. And we managed to survive for a wee while, but we had this empire, this massive, at that point it involved Australia and Canada and huge wheat producing countries where we could, have handshake agreements with countries that you'd sell their stuff to us first rather than go elsewhere. As that goes on and we're more of a capitalist economy, you've seen what the pound's done this week. It's been the lowest compared to the dollar that it's ever been. That is a symptom of the fact that we are a small island and we don't produce anything that anybody else wants to buy. High-end goods, high-end technology, sure, but Ukraine's a good example. what is it, third or fourth biggest wheat producer in the world,
really?
exporter in the world. Russia's ahead of them, but they're always there. Sunflower oil. You take that out of the equation, we don't have any say. And I think this is what we're all struggling to come to terms with now, is that we're a small country, we're a diverse country, but we are, small vessel on the seas. We are subject to the winds and the waves, where maybe we weren't in the past. We do have a mentality, I think, that serves us well. I think it's always better to think that you're worthy in your place in the world, but we're not. We're not really up there anymore.
Me and you both are not avid listeners of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And we both enjoy the Joe Rogan experience. And it's interesting to listen to him and whoever guest he's got on. They've always got that sort of underlying thing of America.
America, fuck yeah.
And I've always wondered, like, how it feels to wake up in the morning going, we are the biggest kid on the playground.
Well, you're the best person to ask that question to, because South Africa is never been a world player. You have a strong national identity, but...
Well, I mean, back in the day, I'm talking about, like, before the current regime took over. I mean, we were a force to be reckoned with. We were, if you just take like our armed forces,
regionally, yeah,
we were in the top three when it came to firepower. We had some of the best fighter planes. We had a shitload of stuff to be reckoned with. And that sort of got lost. I saw a shocking thing the other day about how many vehicles and stuff that we've lost. Army vehicles that we don't know where they are. And there was this running meme going where we apparently are the best in making camo in the world, because we make camo so good that we can't find our own vehicles once we've parked them somewhere. But yeah, we were up there at one stage.
But dipped their toe into nuclear armament at one point.
We did, but I think we were one of a handful of people to just go, okay, no, you can take it, it's fine.
Yeah,
there is. I think me and you have spoken about this. It is. I think it's got not to get into politics, but it was sort of a thing where rather take it away before the regime that's taking over gets their hands on it.
Nuclear weapons always been used for that purpose. There's been 2 bombs dropped to prove the point.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's all been posturing. It's all been about we can, don't fuck with us. The Manhattan Project, which I've just finished listening to a podcast on, was, from what I can gather, it was German and British scientists that we can, in theory, produce this incredible weapon that will wipe out cities. We won't, because we can't orchestrate the manpower to get it done. And when the Manhattan Project came up, America said, right, we've got the land, we've got the resources. In the early days, it was about enriching uranium, which takes huge amounts of power, huge amounts of resources and space. Not so much now, but in the early days, it was about. That's why America became the world power that they are. They own a continent, and similar to UK, they brought in the best from abroad. We'll come on to this, but I'm a fierce advocate of emigration. I think our country has massively benefited, not just historically, but now, the fact that people want to come here and they feel that they've got an opportunity here.
Are you for that because you just know me? who's an immigrant?
No. I mean, all my family are from Bradford. Just use that as a positive example. Bradford saw a lot of immigration from Poland back in the 1920s and 30s. And then that changed over to immigration from Pakistan and India in the 1940s and 50s. Mostly due to the textile industry, the Industrial Revolution. From what I can gather, I wasn't there, so I can't say, but from what I can gather, that was genuinely a UK-led thing. It happened in the north of England. Industrialists wanting to increase their profits, change the world. Genuinely change the world. And everybody wanted a piece of it. And because we had this empire.
Do you need to take a sip of something with it? With a cup that you've
pause
got there?
for a sec?
I'm not going to pause. Just don't die quickly. And then just pour. Let me help you, yeah?
This always happens when I want to talk about something. This fucking frog in the throat.
There you go.
I think with the Industrial Revolution happening when it did, and the fact that we had this empire, gave us everything that we needed to succeed. It was all about bringing in the best people that were available at the time. So textiles were the first thing. America fucked off. They beat us in a war. Fair enough. But when we weren't able to dominate their cotton industry, we brought it in from other countries, and the immigration from Pakistan and India was about expertise in textiles. The immigration that we've had recently from Poland and Romania and Lithuania and all the Eastern European countries has brought skilled farmers into our country. The fact that we're able to be open to people coming in has really benefited this country, and I think it gets lost in the narrative with the Boris Johnson and the Brexit and the we're good on our own. Not at all, in my opinion. It's always been about the fact that people wanted to come here, and they felt that they could make more money here. Let's boil it down to its essentials.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And we've only benefited from that. The fact it's changing a little bit now is troubling, but this monarchy, this queen, and this continuity that we have, I think, is the balance to it all. It's stuff goes up, stuff goes down. It's turbulent enough, but we all always felt British, and it's going to be okay. But all that gets lost in the media is based on the fact that we were able to attract people to come here, yourself included. I mean, you're a bright lad, Phil. You could make money anywhere you chose to go to, and you've chosen to come here and contribute to our economy. God love you, son.
Cheers, bro.
You know what I mean? I think that gets lost in the whole rhetoric about being British. We're not independent. We're not self-sustaining. We never have been. Like we've said since the First World War, we've never been able to even feed ourselves. But we've always been attractive to people coming in. We benefit from bright minds coming in and having ideas and building businesses. As that changes, as the pound goes down, who knows? We could end up like Belgium or Netherlands, where...
Well, I mean, the pound going down is relative. It's not going down by £6 or £7 to the dollar or whatever. It's going down a tiny bit.
Yeah, granted, but the prestige goes down the whole time because it was always, pound used to be a benchmark, and it's not now. It's the dollar. It's only the dollar.
But don't you think the Queen dying has got a role to play in that?
Yeah, because it changes that continuity that keeps us stable. But you saw the funeral. You saw the pomp and the circumstance and the whole ceremony about it. Everybody seems really enthusiastic about it, not just in this country, but everywhere.
I saw figures of I think it was close to 70% of the world's population was watching.
Are you joking?
I'm dead serious. I think it was, to be honest, I think it was 68%, but let's for argument's sake just say 70%. It was close to 70% of the world's population.
What do you think they're thinking when they watch that?
I think it's curiosity.
Yeah,
I think
museum piece.
I don't know why there's a bloody fly here, and it irritates the fuck out of me. But anyway, I didn't watch anything, to be honest. If it didn't show up on my Facebook news feed or Instagram or whatever, I didn't see it. We don't have TV in terms of what do you call it? We don't have channels. We've got Netflix and whatnot.
You don't have rolling news from the BBC.
No, I don't know. So I didn't watch it. I've seen it. I've seen the clip of the guy fainting. That was the guy standing. Anyway, there was a guy fainting there that was keeping guard, and I saw the clip of David Beckham crying, which I also don't understand.
David Beckham was such a flash in the pan. He was he was a really good footballer for 15 minutes, and then now apparently he's some sort of national treasure. He's no David Attenborough or Stephen Fry.
Yeah, there's more Kif guys than him, but
Yeah.
I mean, he was. I've never seen. Well, I've seen soccer. I'm not going to say football. Sorry, I've never watched. I think I've watched one full game of soccer, football, and that was with the 2010 World Cup. That was in South Africa.
Yeah. Vuvuzelas.
Vuvuzelas. My boss, South Africa was playing, the Bafana was playing against someone. And let's be honest, the only reason that we took part in the World Cup was because it was hosted in South Africa.
Sure.
We've got a not up to scratch again team, international soccer team. But anyway, they were playing a game, and my boss said, "Let's go watch it at the local pub." So didn't work that day, which was Kif, and then just went to go watch football, soccer. But it's as a rule, I don't watch sport at all. But yeah, I don't. Anyway, I'm rambling off now. The clips that I've seen online on Facebook or whatever of the Queen and whatnot, and I don't get the fascination. And I do think 70% of the 70% of the world population that watched it, I'd say a good 80% of that is just people going, "Ooh, that's interesting. Let's see what's going on there." Obviously, a shitload of UK people watched it because they're the same people that buy the coins and that buy the plates and that buy all of that bullshit, which for the life of me, I don't understand. But it is because I come from a country where, I mean, we don't have a king and a queen. We've got the president, and it's like, we've got Cyril Ramaphosa now, but I don't worry about what he does day to day. I like.
No, but if Ramaphosa had been in power for 70 years, your whole life.
Okay, which is fair.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's that link with the past, and we're all fascinated about our heritage and where we come from, and it was that tangible link. You know, there's a direct lineage back 1,000 years to the people that have run the country. They don't have any power, like we've discussed, but it makes everybody feel safe. You know,
I guess it is a.
We're all looking for someone that has the answers. Okay, they don't have the answers. They're not going to make world problems go away or give us any answers to it. But it was just there the whole time, and it still is to a certain extent. I don't think anything changes with Charles coming in. It's just we're obsessed with our imperial heritage, me included, as much as I want. It gives you some sort of place in the world.
Were you sad? Did you feel like the Queen's dead? I'm going to take 5 minutes and just be sad. Did it have an effect on you?
No, because I think I've been anticipating it for a long time. You know, we always knew that she was going to go eventually.
Yes, well, they're not vampires.
No, but no, it didn't. It didn't really. The thing that troubles me most is that the coverage of that was so much more watched than anything political that's happening. We've had 3 prime ministers in the last 5 years. Can you name them?
Boris.
Yeah, Boris.
And then that's it.
It's so less important.
Okay, let me just to come up for myself. I have not had TV in terms of where I can pick a channel in the last 10 years, maybe more. I think 12.
Right.
We've got DSTV in South Africa, which is you pay $1,000 for it a month, and you've got 700 million channels that you can watch, which is sport and news and movies and whatnot. I haven't had any form of cable TV or whatever you want to call it in 12 years. So I don't watch the news, and I think that external factors play such a small role in my life.
Well, let me turn this on you a little bit, because this is relevant. Why did you want to come to the UK?
Well, I'd say a good 50% of our decision to come here is just because agricultural safety is in a very dark place at this point in South Africa. And once again, I don't want to make this all political. I hate talking about that, but farmers are getting killed almost on a daily basis in South Africa, and it's being called on by people. I won't say necessarily in power, but there's a specific party called the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters, Economic Freedom Force. Fuck, I don't even know what they're. The EFF, they wear like little red berets and red overalls. And Julius Malema is involved there, and they've got this song that they, like a struggle song almost, that they sing that's called, they've got their name for it, but it's basically kill the farm, kill the farmer, kill the boer, or something like that. And I mean, they sing that openly. There was a case probably a month ago where it was put to the court that it's hate speech, and the guys just said, no, it's fine, they can sing it, no problem. So in the valley that we used to live in, there's a few farm murders quite close to us. Dwayne Treater, I think, was one of them. The other guy I didn't really know, but It's people where they didn't break into a house and steal stuff, and so they went there to kill people, to kill the farmer. And the situation by us was a bit difficult, and with the birth of Luke, we decided to sort of make a move.
But why UK? This is my question.
Yeah.
You could have gone anywhere in the world.
I could have, but with Allison's UK ties, it was the easiest place to come to.
Okay.
The easiest place to emigrate to. We could have gone to New Zealand or Australia or America or whatever, but this was the clearest, easiest path to immigrate. So we are on ancestral visas, and I think a good 50% of our move was just safety's sake. Just and not necessarily safety, but stress. It was a stressful environment that I worked in. And I mean, I could never truly explain that to you. You guys don't have, there's no burglar bars, there's no alarm systems, there's no fucking trip beams and stuff like that. Yeah, you don't see palisading. It's safe. You don't have to. I've never locked my front door since we've been here. I don't even know if we've got keys for the front door, to be honest. And then the other part is just, me and Alison have had the conversation in South Africa about where do we put our kid in school and what school does he go to. I didn't want to necessarily put him in the local school. Not that the local school is bad, but obviously you want the best for your kid. The best school that was close to us was a shitload of money a year. It would have been basically about 70% of my annual salary would have gone to that school, if not more.
Okay.
And on my salary, I wouldn't have been able to pay that.
What did your peer group that didn't have ancestral ties to the UK do? Where was their first choice? USA, sure.
Funny enough, I've had this conversation before on the podcast with a friend of mine, Zinon. He's in Greece now. He's a Cypriot. I'm unsure if he was born there or in South Africa, but he's a Cypriot. And we sort of jokingly said that the only people that are still in South Africa are the people that can't leave. And I'd say that tongue in cheek. I don't mean it that way. I'd never. My plan is not to write off South Africa. I mean, in 5 years' time, hopefully we'll get British passports, but I'll be a dual citizen. I'll still keep my South African passport, and we're not writing off South Africa. But we did kind of say that there was a handful of people that looked at us and said, fuck you, we're done with you now. You are, there's a word in South Africa, they call us hands-uppers. It's the people that go,
hands up,
like, put your hands up, like, surrender. And I don't see it that way. I 100% see it as I want a better future for my kid. And I just feel like I could do it better from here. It's easy as that.
Well, that sort of rounds that point quite nicely, because I do think the UK has always been an opportunity, and we've benefited massively from people coming in and wanting to be here. But anyway, let's change the subject.
Well, just before we do, I mean, it's just to give an idea. This hasn't been easy. It's not. Let's book a ticket and let's go see what's going on there in England. It's been a tough move, leaving every single thing we know and love behind, and it's been difficult. I mean, like I've told you so many times, a braai is a massive thing in our culture. I've had one braai since we've been here. One proper braai since I've been here, and that was at your house.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had barbecues, we've had a Weber type of, but it's not the same. It's not the same. What we had at your house was a proper braai.
Yeah.
And it's little stuff like that makes a big difference at the end of the day. But anyway, let's leave it as that. Let's come back to Yogi, because I know you're burning to talk about dogs.
Yes, please.
I do think it ties back to the Queen a bit, because for me, looking in from the outside, It's a very posh thing that you're doing. I feel like it's very, very posh, this whole
I feel that way
this whole
too. Yeah.
dog hunting thing.
Yeah.
Not hunting dogs, hunting with dogs. And it's like very, you guys get dressed up and you wear a tie and a fancy shirt and you've got your specific clothes that you wear. And tell me, what type of dog is Yogi?
Yogi is a German wirehead pointer. He was bred to do all of those things that was done by a number of breeds of dogs in the past. So he will hunt, he will point, and he will retrieve. So let me just explain that. Hunting means they're an air scenting dog. They have their head up. They're looking for the scent of game. They're not like a spaniel where they're nose down tracking, or a bloodhound, or any tracking dog. Heads up. They'll work their way into the wind, hopefully in a beautiful pattern. When they come across birds, they will tell you that we found them by pointing.
I just wanted to, so then they don't go, ah.
No. They will point. And you've seen the videos I've shared with you. They go static. You're like a statue.
How do you teach a dog to do that?
No, you can't. You breed a dog to do that. And from what I understand in my limited research of the breeds, at some point in northern Spain, this trait occurred. Let's think about, you're a hunter.
Yeah.
You understand hunting. When an animal hunts, they want to get that animal killed. That's what it's all about.
Hopefully as quick as possible.
Yeah. It's almost a quirk. That indecision when they come across a bird, they work in the wind, and eventually they get the scent of a bird or see a bird, and they'll go, it's there. In normal circumstances, most dogs will get in and try and either kill it or, flush it up. We ended up with this weird quirk where the dog will just become immobile.
Yeah, and also not just immobile, it'll point.
Yeah,
it's
there.
right there.
Can we share a video with our...
I'll see if I can do it in the edit. I don't know, but yeah.
It's such a magical thing when it happens. When dogs quartering, they'll usually keep the wind to their cheek so they can, scent any birds that come up, but not waste any ground. And this comes into what we're competing with. What I suppose the best way to describe it is, what I'm expected of being a competition is that the dog will not waste any ground. If anybody walking up through the ground that we've covered flushes up a bird, it's over. We should have spotted that.
Yeah,
bird.
that basically means the dog missed that bird. Yeah.
But when he does come on point, in most circumstances with pointers, you've got 3 or 4 guns. Dog's immobile. He's showing us where the birds are. Everybody has time to consider themselves. Because the other end of the spectrum is, you can send a spaniel in, they'll hunt the ground in a similar pattern, maybe less distance than a pointer would do, but they'll get the birds up, and then the guns have to, shit, bang, bang, bang. With a pointer, everyone's got time to consider, and this is where your point comes in. You have to be mannered. When you compare USA pointers to UK pointers, they don't want the dogs to... they want them to point the birds, sure, but they don't want them to be steady enough for every gun to get in. What I'm trying to do with Yogi, and what Yogi's been exceptional at, is holding them birds. It's not just about the dog finding the birds. It's about him finding them quickly enough that they don't have time to escape. You've worked with...
because he almost stares them down, right? He almost keeps them in that spot.
Yeah, well, you understand livestock. Everything's got an escape distance, the distance that they're comfortable you being in.
Yeah.
And if you get closer in, they'll fuck off. What the pointing breeds manage to do is just hold off enough that the birds aren't up
Yeah.
and away. It gives everybody time to get in. When they have pointed, and the thing that I've been working on religiously, if I'm honest with Yogi, is holding that point long enough, but also able to be in on the command.
Yeah. Get in.
Yeah, because I get fixated.
Yeah.
And most of the dogs that I've worked with, when I've been on this journey with Yogi, struggle to flush on command because I get fixated, and it almost ends up with, most of the time, the handler walking in and flushing the birds themselves, or the guns flushing them in themselves. What Yogi is exceptionally talented at is being able to do it on command from a distance. He's on point, he's fixated, and when I say get in, he does.
Because you guys are not allowed to shoot the bird on the ground, right? It has to be in flight.
It's bad form. Bad form.
Okay. It's basically just frowned upon. It's not like you.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't go to jail if you shoot a bird on the ground.
No.
It's preferred that the bird must be there.
Yeah, it's a sporting shot. You know,
Yeah.
It's fair game. But when the dog gets in, you've asked him to finish that chase. He also is expected to stop.
Yeah.
When I either blow him down with a whistle or he hears a gunshot.
And then he has to sit.
He has to sit. And what he started to do now is watch.
All right.
There's one down there. There's one down there. Mark his birds. That, for me, when I was getting into it, in that fucking incredible thing, you're asking them to follow their instinct and get in and then to stop.
And you're asking that dog to basically count. Because he has to go, okay, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 over there. Maybe not count in the sense that we do, but he picks up that there's a bird over there, bird over there, bird over there, bird over there.
Yeah. But it all comes down to the base point, which is we're a hunting partnership, me and him.
Yeah.
He's not just a pet. He's, as far as he's concerned, he's putting food on the table. And it's only in the last 2 or 3 months, because he's such a young dog.
Yeah, he's a pup still. Well, not a pup, but I mean, he's still young.
Well, it's only in the last 2 or 3 months that he's experienced the whole picture, which is that the guns will shoot the bird and they will fall down. Getting him to not run into those, what we call running in, has been not a struggle, because he's a fucking exceptional little dog, but that's beating the instinct out of him and really reaffirming the partnership. You can't do it without me, mate.
Yeah.
And I've had to prove to him over the last couple of years that actually, when you're with me, we get more birds than you would do on your own. Because the natural instinct of the dog is to fuck off and, you know, he might point a bird over there, get a bird up, flies away, nothing happens, no food on the table.
Yeah.
I think he's slowly, steadily realising that it doesn't happen without me.
Yeah. If you're there, he gets to pick up a bird.
Yeah. And the fact that he looks back all the time and says, you know, hey, come in. We need to do this together, has been the most exciting journey of my life. I've been watching this dog feverishly for 2 years, hoping that he would do this, and he's starting to fully put it together now, and it's exhilarating because not only do I know he can do it, he can show these posh, besuited, gun-holding gentlemen that he can do it as well, and give them time to get their shots off and brag to their mates.
Yeah. But I must say, one of the things that impresses me the most is the speed at which he runs while picking up scent. I thought he walks up and down and smells it, but like he fucking runs.
But he's got a
What you call it, quartering. He goes up and down, and he runs up and down on that scent, and then he'll get a scent. Oh, fuck, this is new. And then go, ooh, oh, here's a bit.
There's two parts to that arrangement. There's the bird and there's the dog. If you're quartering up a field, the birds aren't daft. And they're, at the end of the day, let's face it, they're trying to save their lives.
Yeah.
We're going to shoot them. They're going to walk up. We can't see them. You know, you can maybe cheat by having some IR spectacles, but a fast running dog like Yogi, and the reason that he's winning me competitions and getting me all excited is that he will arrive on the birds before they're expecting it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a Mexican standoff. That, you know, there's no way they can escape. The dog's on them. They can't walk up the field. What I want and what I'm getting loads of praise for is that, in fact, he will run so hard. He'll run his heart out and arrive on the birds, and then they have no choice but to sit there because he's just suddenly there. There's loads of other HBR breeds. I'm a massive fan of the German wire-haired pointer, as you know. Short-haired pointers will do it as well. But you watch a lot of other dogs, Munsterlanders and Brittany's and other ones that, you know, pot around, work a lovely pattern. They'll win you loads of working tests because it all looks, you know, methodical and clean. But at the end of the day, we're supposed to be bringing birds down. If they're going to run wide and fast and be in control, it's thrilling when it happens. And don't get me wrong, I'm young into this sport, but this dog runs hard and fast, arrives on the birds, and then can point them long enough for the guns to get up. Everybody gets a chance to consolidate themselves and, you know, put themselves together. Because let's face
the
it,
guns ready, walk up.
most of the guns that I've shot with are 60 plus. They don't want to yomp up the field. They don't want to have hard work to get there.
When you say 60 plus, it's age.
Yeah.
Chaps that are 60 plus years old.
Yeah. Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Old gentlemen. Tweed-wearing gentlemen.
Tweed wearing.
And I'm just getting a massive thrill out of impressing them. Because at the end of the day, I'm a commoner. I have an accent. I'm not what... There's no way into that world other than having a really impressive dog. And I've got one of them.
Oh, you definitely have. I think Yogi's doing well. I mean, this is me saying this knowing absolutely fuck all.
But you've seen him.
But I've
in the field
I've
here.
seen him out in the field, yeah, and I've seen the videos, and it's really impressive. Jim, my bladder's about to burst. I need to take a piss.
We've got 23 minutes before you're allowed to piss.
No, I'm going to go piss now. I want to ask you about. Podcasts now. Just because we, like, as we said, we are both. What are we now? We are both avid listeners of podcasts.
Yeah.
And as you said, you've listened to 5 or 6 minutes of the Cutthroat Chronicles before.
No, it's more than that. If it's in English, I'll give it some... I'll listen further, but if it's in Afrikaans, mate...
No, obviously you're going to struggle. But, I mean, most podcasts are just waffling. I mean, it's interesting stuff because it's interesting people. And this boils back to what our conversation this afternoon about... We listen to whoever Joe Rogan's talking to, irrespective of who he's talking to, because it's Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's an interesting person. And he has on numerous occasions said that he doesn't talk to Jim Broadbent because he thinks the listeners will enjoy Jim Broadbent. He talks to Jim because he finds Jim very interesting. And that's something that I've tried to do as well, is I've done, obviously I won't say which ones, but I've done episodes where my train of thought was, this episode will fly. It has to, because this is a predominant figure in South Africa. It has to work. And I did that instead of going, I will have an interesting conversation with this person. And those are the episodes. And listen, I don't have a hell of an audience. Let's just say that. But I mean, those have been the episodes that have got the least amount of views.
Yeah.
The ones that I've had the most fun on, that's interesting to me, has been the most viewed episodes.
This is what I was trying to tell you before. Your audience, however small they might be,
3.5 people that might be watching this, just
like you, clearly, it's not about necessarily the guest. The reason that we listen to Joe and Bert and Tom and all the podcasters that we love is because
Bert as well, so.
It's because we like them and we're interested in seeing... You want to
finish that one?
I can do. We're interested in seeing how they will react around different people. I've spent so much of my life listening to podcasts. It's not your main focus. It's not the thing that you don't sit down and listen to a podcast and
it's
background noise.
Background noise.
Yeah, sure.
It's like standing in the lift and hearing. Yeah,
but it's kind of, if I'm being really critical, it's deferring going out and having a chat with your mates because you can listen to it online. I feel like so. To give you an example, I've a massive love of Ellis and John Robbins, Ellis James, obscure. They were on XFN for a while. They're on Radio 5 now. I feel like they're my friends. They're not.
I've
never met them.
But you've listened to them for so long, and you've been part of the conversation for so long that you feel like,
but it's one way.
My mates.
Yeah. It's one way. They're not my friends. They don't know who I am, but I feel such... It's like deferring the effort to actually get to know people. Podcasts come with... They're a double-edged sword, They're a time filler and a background noise, but they're not the same as getting to know people.
No, it is. It's definitely, and we have spoken about this before, where it is, in a sense, for lack of a better word, dangerous, because me and you both stand for 5-6 hours at a time milking, where you can't really have a conversation with someone while you're milking. I mean, it is an easy job to do because you do the same thing 3,000 times. But you do have to concentrate while doing it. And a podcast is an easy way to eliminate time.
Yeah.
Because you might not be listening 100%. You might not be attentive to everything that they're saying. But it's not like a conversation where you have to take part.
No. It's like listening to the bigger boys at school in the common room. You're fascinated by what they have to say, and they're funny and they're more intelligent and they're easy to listen to. But it's one way. And I do worry, I'm only talking about myself here, but I do worry a lot of the time that you're not being forced to contribute yourself. If you were stuck with those guys in a room, big boys, more intelligent boys, you would either make a fool of yourself or at least come out of yourself enough to try and get involved in that conversation. And there's none of that feedback. You know what I mean?
No, but there is in a sense, because it plays back to that thing where if you are the most intelligent person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Where if you are part of a conversation, you might not be partaking in that conversation, but you are, in a sense, part of, let's say, just for argument's sake, Joe Rogan is talking to fucking whoever. You are part of the conversation. You might just be listening, but you're part of the conversation in the sense of that you're listening. You're not partaking because you're not talking.
Yeah.
But you are part of it. And I find myself, every now and again, a thought will be shared and I will press pause and I'll go, fuck, I need to think about that. And that sparks a bit of, I won't say innovation, but that sparks a bit of just intrigue.
Mental fluidity.
Yeah, and then I'll just spend the 10, 15 minutes thinking about whatever they talked about now. And I think that's where we win out of that, where and that turns it into not just a conversation, because then it does make you part of it because you do think.
Sure.
The alternative is you listen to a radio station or you listen to a playlist on Spotify where it's dull, it's nothing, it's just noise. And I think that's why I like listening to the podcasts. I mean, I listen to on a good day that I'm milking in the morning and I'm fixing shit in the afternoon. I'm listening to 10, 12 hours of non-stop podcasts. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm talking to myself most of the time. But, I mean, it gives you the opportunity to learn something, to build ideas about stuff. And it's not just that you're listening to music, where it's just tunes, it's just noise.
But you do understand my point, that you're sort of substituting real relationships.
No, it is. But the alternative is what? What's the alternative? I come stand by you while you're milking, and we have a chat for 6 hours long, and you're going to do most probably a shit job of milking, because we're going to talk about stuff, or it's going to take you, instead of 6 hours, it's going to take you 8 hours long, because you're going to stop the parlor every now and again and go, that's fucking interesting. Let me think about that. And then with the podcasts, it's just, it doesn't force you, but it makes you think about stuff. Where if you listen to the new Britney Spears song, you're just listening to a song.
Yeah.
And I must say I fucking love podcasts. I've said this.
Me too.
Many a time on this podcast, on this one, my small little Cutthroat Chronicles channel, whatever you want to call it, but
Yes, man.
very bad. And I must say that's what I'm not trying to do anything on this podcast. I'm not trying to do anything. This is solely to keep me entertained. 100% this is to keep me entertained. This is something that I can spend my free time on, and it's me doing something instead of just sitting around and drinking, which I would have done most of the time in this little billy room. If I didn't have the podcast, I would come sit here and just have a drink and a chat with a friend.
Well, just let me say to you and your audience, you're an exceptional human being. The way that you are.
Whoa. No, but that's a bit much. But, thank you. Just, let me pour you a drink on that. Yeah.
Your ability to listen is quite reflective. Because most people, when they're talking to you, are thinking about the next thing they want to say. I don't get that with you. And me and you are very different from our backgrounds, from our upbringing and stuff. The thing that we have in common is farming. We're genuinely passionate about livestock rearing and improving the breeds that we are under our stewardship.
Especially, I think we do have that the genetic background, and I think we like talking about that.
Yeah, but we don't chat about that really much, do we? We chat about
We do while we're
life and love and laundry.
But yeah, it's a small part of the conversation.
Yeah, but this is why you're an exceptional human being, Phil. I've met very few people like you in my life. You're very attractive. I don't take that in a sexual way. I don't want to suck your cock.
I love you too.
You're a very attractive person because of the way that you listen. And, well, in this particular instance, Farmash Farm, we've had Polish, Romanian, Bulgarian, Lithuanian, all sorts of people come up here. And I've just buzzed off the fact that it's been diverse and I've been able to have conversations with people that are totally removed from my situation, but we still managed to find common ground. With you, particularly, all I see is a genuinely decent human being.
I want to ask you something funny now. Me and Alison had a chat about this the other day, because obviously now we are in the UK. We've been in England now for a year and I think about 4 months now. And when we got here, for lack of a better word, the language barrier was interesting. It's not necessarily a barrier, but there's obviously you pick up on the accent very quickly. We both speak English, but it's not the same English. But I find myself nowadays, I don't hear the accent anymore. It's not. It was strange in the first few months, but now it's just people talking. And especially the Yorkshire accent is heavy. With you and Jake. Jake's also got, I don't think like a thick Yorkshire accent, but he also has the same sort of accent as you, where you don't say gun, you say gun, and there's stuff like that, and the A's are very open-ended, and darling. And
but
I don't hear it anymore. It's become part of my day.
It's when I'm speaking to you here now, I'm not hamming it up Yorkshire. I mean, I could speak to you real Yorkshire. Like if there was a Yorkshire farmer in here now, I'd be speaking very different than I am to you now.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I love about accents is you can attune it to your audience. And like you were going back to the dog, when I'm dealing with all these posh people, I'm speaking to them like I am you now. There's no accent in my voice as far as I can tell now.
From your viewpoint, there's no accent, yeah.
But if I was speaking to, a Yorkshire farmer or one of the wagon drivers that turns up, I almost turn it the other way. Like, you've got that ability to tune it into your audience.
Yeah.
And to give you an example, my brother emigrated to Australia 10 years ago. He married an Australian girl. When I speak to him on the phone, to me, he sounds fully Australian. It sounds so weird because we grew up together. We were only a year apart in age. But as the conversation progresses, you can hear it coming back. You can hear the Yorkshireisms coming back in. Your accent, in some cases, can be your identity, but in most cases, it's fluid.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to keep hold of it because I think it's going to disappear as we get more global. We'll all sort of meet each other in the middle. Did you ever see that South Park episode when the brown people take over and they all have this sort of... where I grew up, 10 miles away, 12 miles away, in a different town, they had different dialect. Not completely, to a foreigner, you'd all sound the same.
Yeah, but there's little
certain
words and little...
certain phrases that, think of the region that they're from.
Yeah.
I don't know why, and I don't think I'm alone in this thought, that I think that's precious and it should be maintained.
I don't think that'll go away. I think I'm going to go against you with that one. I don't think that'll go away because it doesn't matter how... The world's got very small. It's easy to travel nowadays. If you've got a bit of money, you can go anywhere you want to. And I think it is still the same as it was 200 years ago. As you said, and I've picked that up here quite a lot, where you can go to Ottringham and the people speak one way, and then you can go to Paddington, which is literally just down the road, and you'll pick up different words there. And you can go to Withensea, and they speak a little bit differently. And you can go to Kingham and Hull, and that's what's, I feel like, unique of England, where I think it's mostly, I don't know if it's a culture thing with you guys, but it must
be deliberate.
But there's a big thing of, if you come from here, you stay here most of the time. Where and South Africa is obviously bigger than England, but we tend to have, like, you can pick up a Western Cape. I think I've probably got the Western Cape accent, and if you go to the Eastern Cape, they've got a bit of a different accent, and the Northern Cape's got a bit of a different accent, and when you go to the Free State, they've got a bit of a different accent, but that's I mean, our provinces are as big as England, so we don't, I don't know, I've not picked it up in South Africa, where if you go to a different town that's 50 kilometers away or 100 kilometers away, we sort of speak the same language. Yeah, it's literally, you drive 5 minutes away and you've got, you're in a different fucking swimming pool.
Yeah.
But if you talk to me, does it still sound strange?
Not now, because I've known you a couple of years. How long have we known each other?
A year.
A year.
I know that I'm a fucking texting person. I know it feels like I've been around.
When I first met you, you sound really South African. The rolling of the R's. It was very South African. I can see it changing. I can hear it changing.
I do think, I mean, once again, me and Alison had this conversation a while ago where I won't put names on the table yet, but I've got a friend in America she's been there 6 months, and she's adopted the fucking twang.
Yeah.
Full on.
Yeah.
And I tend to think, like, why? And I've asked her this, and she says, well, the people there don't understand the South African accent. She has to repeat herself so many times that she
starts to assimilate. And
she's picked up the twang because everyone understands the battle. And it's like, okay, whatever. I understand that, but I must say, over here, I haven't had the same problem.
You're easily understood in shops.
Yeah, because honestly, most people think we are either Australian or from New Zealand. I've had 6 people say, "Oh, you're South African," but I've had 60 people go, "What's it like in Australia?"
Oh, really?
Honestly, most people say we think we're from Australia.
That's interesting, because the roots of Australian or New Zealand or Canadian is English speaking. Your accent has come from a completely different language. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still think it's romantic. It's exotic.
Yeah, it's exotic. Well, it's relatively exotic.
Right, what did you want to ask me before I fuck off?
No, I think it was the accent thing. Or did I say something else? Oh, I fucking can't remember. Okay, well, let's do this. We did say we'll keep it to an hour and a half. We're right on the dot of an hour and a half. I think let's do this in 2 weeks' time. Let's meet up again.
Right, well, viewers, this is the start of our Sober October. For me, I don't know about you, but for me, this is momentous because I go home and have a drink every night. If I can do this, and the £250 is a hell of an incentive. Well, we'll do one at the end, yeah?
Yeah, well, my plan is to do one in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In the middle of in the thick of it. And do this again while we're sober. And then I think we must do one where we have our first drink on the podcast.
Oh,
let's plan to do
Have you got a bed for me?
Yes, I do. I think let's do that. Let's meet up again in 2 weeks' time and do another one, and then do it again at the end of the month, or the start of November, and then have a drink, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Good. Jim, thank you very much.
Love you, man.
I'll see you next week.
You will.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.